Bible study. Ooh, seems like forever since I've been here on a Wednesday night. Because I've been gone for 2 weeks. But we had Miss Vicky step in for us, and I appreciate that. And one of these days, I'll get the videos rendered and put them up online. I've been working on it all day and just not gotten anywhere. So I apologize that we've not had her or Brother Will up on the internet yet. We will. It's just taking time. Just taking time. You want to run this tonight too?
Sure.
So, what Vicky did while we were gone, went through 2 Samuel 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And 8.
We're on 14. She read fast.
Wow, 14 is not what I put in the computer because I looked at the last video and you stopped it.
That was just 1 week. We stopped at 8 the first week. But the second video, I put it at 13.
I apologize. If y'all will wait just a minute. So we're at 14?
We need to do 14 next, yeah.
Okay. Let me see if I can do that from here. It's going to take too long. I'll give this back to you. Oh.
So I need this.
You will need it. It'll have to update the screen once I load it in.
Okay.
It just takes a second. What a beautiful day. How did Love and Spoonful say it? What a day for a daydream. Something like that?
Yeah, something like that. I didn't know that was Love and Spoonful.
I thought it was. It might not be. So you said we're on 14?
Yeah.
Okay. 14 is now added. And since I didn't read it, sorry, we'll figure it out. 15. And we'll put 16 in there just for fun. Well, I apologize. I thought I was looking at the right file, but obviously I was not.
It's okay.
Did it update? Not yet. How about up there? Okay, then. So, what has happened to David since I haven't been here? Anything jump out of the page at you?
Turn back. I don't know where I started.
3.
So, murdered Ishbosheth, and David was anointed king of Israel.
Mm-hmm.
And then they brought the ark to Jerusalem. Oh, David defeated the Philistines.
Yes, he did.
And some dude tripped and touched the ark. And is that in here? I think it is.
Yeah, I believe so.
And then Michael was ashamed of David because he was dancing like a fool.
Yeah. Is this also where David gets the word from the Lord that David is living in a nice house, but my home is in tents? Do you remember that?
Yes, David. Well, I've read his, but I think it is in what I did. David said, I'm going to build you a house.
Right.
And God said, have I ever asked you to build me a house?
Right.
So that's what
Now, check this out. I was watching a special last week, maybe this week. There is a knick-knack store in Israel with a door that leads to a tunnel passage to a palace. And they are pretty sure it's David's house because of where it is.
Oh, awesome.
I would love to go see that. I get shivers thinking about
I
something
thought you
like
were gonna
that.
say it was a little knickknack they sell, so it is the house.
No, the curator of the store says that this is okay, it's not Polynesian. What's the word I'm looking for? Whatever the name of the people are that built the market had it listed as House of David.
Yeah.
And it's the walls are 20 feet thick, so it's the right depth of a thickness of a palace. It's in the right spot, according to the brooks that run around it. Made of cedar. Yeah, the cedars of Lebanon. Yeah. So anyway, I thought that was pretty cool.
So Mephibosheth, he extended kindness to him, told him he could eat at his table, and he turned everything of Saul's over to him. And
Yeah.
he gets lots of defeats of all their enemies.
Yep.
Oh, and Bathsheba.
Oh, you've already read Bathsheba? Okay.
We did Bathsheba, yeah. And then where Nathan rebukes him,
Mm-hmm.
and his child died.
Yep.
And then where Amnon rapes Tamar.
Yep. Oh man, that was something else, man.
Well, we're evil in this day and age.
Oh yeah, we're a sick bunch, that's for sure. Well, that brings us up to 14 then, right?
And then Absalom, after 2 years, murdered Amnon.
Right.
Now it's where.
And then he flees to Geshur.
Yes.
All right, so chapter 14, verse 1. You got it up there?
Oh. Not yet.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's all right.
Distracted here.
It's okay. All of us are.
You were doing the recall.
It says, now Joab, the son of Zeruiah, knew that the king's heart went out to Absalom, right? So David had a special relationship with him, right? 2 then says, and Joab sent to Tekoa and brought from there a wise woman and said to her, pretend to be a mourner and put on mourning garments. Not daytime mourning, but mourning as in sad garments. Do not anoint yourself with oil, but behave like a woman who has been mourning for many days for the dead. So he's setting something up here, right? And it says, go to the king and speak thus to him. So Joab put the words in her mouth. 4 then says, when the woman of Tekoa came to the king, she fell on her face to the ground and paid homage and said, oh, save me, O king. And the king said to her, oh, what is your trouble? She answered, alas, I am a widow, and my husband is dead. And your servant had 2 sons, and they quarreled with one another in the field. There was no one to separate them, and one struck the other and killed him. Where have we heard about 2 sons fighting in a field? Cain and Abel, very good. It says, and now the whole clan has risen against your servant, and they say, give up the man who struck his brother, that we may put him to death for the life of his brother whom he killed. And so they would destroy their heir also. Thus they would quench my coal that is left, and leave to my husband neither name nor remnant on the face of the earth. Once again, you got to remember, male-dominated society, everything is about what gets passed down through the sons, right? All right. He's mowing across the street, so I got coughing fits coming. Okay. Where did I leave off?
You need to read 8.
8. Then the king said to the woman, go to your house, and I will give orders concerning you. And the woman of Tekoa said to the king, on me be the guilt, my lord the king, and on my father's house let the king and his throne be guiltless. And the king said, if anyone says anything to you, bring him to me, he shall never touch you again. Then she said, please let the king invoke the Lord your God, that the avenger of blood kill no more, and my son be not destroyed. He said, as the Lord lives, not one hair of your son shall fall to the ground. Sorry, that's from Brother Tim. He's home, by the way. We'll talk about that when we do our prayer request later. 12 then says, then the woman said, please let your servant speak a word to my lord the king. He said, speak. And the woman said, oh, sorry, no, we didn't. Says, and the woman said, why then have you planned such a thing against the people of God? For in giving this decision, the king convicts himself, inasmuch as the king does not bring his banished one home again. We all must die. We are like water spilled on the ground, which cannot be gathered up again. But God will not take away life, and he devises means so that the banished one will not remain an outcast. Now I've come to say this to my lord the king, because the people have made me afraid, and have made me afraid. And your servant thought, I will speak to the king. It may be that the king will perform the request of his servant, for the king will hear and deliver his servant from the hand of the man who would destroy me and my son together from the heritage of God. And your servant thought, the word of my lord the king will set me at rest. For my lord the king is like the angel of God to discern good and evil. The Lord your God be with you. Okay. That's a lot of words she's saying. So she's saying all this, and whether or not the story's getting through or not doesn't matter. He is taking what she is saying and telling her that he's going to protect her son, right? That's what I got to get out of that. Well, that would bring shame upon himself, according to that, because this boy killed somebody, his life should be taken. But yet, she's asking him to protect him. Is that what y'all got out of that?
Yeah, but also it kind of like almost a parable where when Nathan came in and was tricking him about Bathsheba, talking about Bathsheba, but he's like talking about lambs.
Yeah.
And he has no idea that he's talking about him again here.
Right.
I mean, not that it's Nathan, but he's just making a ruling against himself, just like he did with Nathan.
Yeah. It's just interesting how those cycles keep happening, right? 18 says, then the king answered the woman, do not hide from me anything I ask you. The woman said, let my lord the king speak. And the king said, is the hand of Joab with you in all of this? And the woman answered and said, as surely as you live, my lord the king, one cannot turn to the right hand or left from anything that my lord the king has said. It was your servant Joab who commanded me. It was he who put all these words in the mouth of your servant. In order to change the course of things, your servant Joab did this. But my Lord, his wisdom, like the wisdom of the angel of God, to know all things that are on the earth. So she fesses up, right? What do you think he's going to do? Is he going to run her through with a sword? Is he going to put her in prison for the rest of her life? Is he going to put her up in the palace? Well, let's find out, shall we? Says, then the king said to Joab, behold, now I grant this. Go back, bring back the young man Absalom. And Joab fell on his face to the ground and paid homage. and blessed the king. And Joab said, Today your servant knows that I have found favor in your sight, my lord the king, in that the king has granted the request of his servant. So Joab arose and went to Geshur and brought Absalom to Jerusalem. And the king said, Let him dwell apart in his own house, and he is not to come into my presence. So Absalom lived apart in his own house and did not come into the king's presence. Now in all Israel there was no one so much to be praised for his handsome appearance as Absalom. From the sole of his foot to the crown of his head there was no blemish in him. And when he cut the hair off his head, for at the end of every year he used to cut it, when it was heavy on him, he cut it. He weighed the hair of his head, 200 shekels by the king's weight. And a shekel is about 2.5 ounces or 11 grams. Says, There were born to Absalom 3 sons, 1 daughter, whose name was Tamar, and she was a beautiful woman. So Absalom lived 2 full years in Jerusalem without coming into the king's presence. Then Absalom sent for Joab to send him to the king, but Joab would not come to him. And he sent a second time, but Joab would not come. Then he said to his servants, See, Joab's field is next to mine, and he has barley there. Go and set it on fire. So Absalom's servants set the field on fire. Then Joab arose and went to Absalom at his house and said to him, Why have your servants set my field on fire? And Absalom answered Joab, Behold, I sent word to you, Come here, that I may send you to the king to ask, Why have I come from Geshur? It would be better for me to be there still. Now therefore let me go into the presence of the king, and if there is guilt in me, let him put me to death. Then Joab went to the king and told him, and he summoned Absalom. So he came to the king and bowed himself on his face to the ground before the king, and the king kissed Absalom. So Joab wasn't thinking that's what was going to happen. Go ahead.
He wasn't much trouble as he thought he was.
Nope.
It just strikes me that David's son killed his other son because he raped his sister.
Mm-hmm.
But that's David's daughter.
Yeah.
And he didn't do anything that whole 2 years that there could have been justice done.
Yep.
He waited and allowed him to kill Amnon
Yep.
instead of him putting justice out
Right.
against his son. So that
It's just odd.
it is.
You know?
It is.
All right, how about chapter 15, verse 1? I'll wait for you to catch up with the computer. Oh, it's up already, all right. So after this, Absalom got himself a chariot and horses, and 50 men to run before him. And Absalom used to rise early and stand beside the way of the gate. And when any man had a dispute to come before the king for judgment, Absalom would call to him and say, From what city are you? And when he said, Your servant is of such and such a tribe in Israel, well, then Absalom would say to him, See, your claims are good and right, but there is no man designated by the king to hear you. And then Absalom would say, Oh, that I were judge in the land, then every man with a dispute or cause might come to me, and I would give him justice. He wanted that job of the judge, right? And whenever a man came near to pay homage to him, he would put out his hand and take hold of him and kiss him. Thus Absalom did to all of Israel who came to the king for judgment. So Absalom stole the hearts of the men of Israel. And at the end of 4 years, Absalom said to the king, please let me go and pay my vow, which I have vowed to the Lord in Hebron. For your servant vowed a vow while I lived in Geshur in Aram, saying, if the Lord will indeed bring me back to Jerusalem, then I will offer worship to the Lord. The king said to him, go in peace. So he arose and went to Hebron. But Absalom sent secret messengers throughout all the tribes of Israel, saying, as soon as you hear the sound of the trumpet, then say, Absalom is the king of Hebron. With Absalom went 200 men from Jerusalem, who were invited guests, and they went in their innocence and knew nothing. And while Absalom was offering the sacrifices, he sent for Ahithophel, the Gileonite, and David's counselor from the city, Gilead. And the conspiracy grew strong, and the people with Absalom kept increasing. And a messenger came to David, saying, the hearts of the men of Israel have gone after Absalom. Then David said to all of his servants who was with him at Jerusalem, arise, let us flee, else there will be no escape for us from Absalom. Go quickly, lest he overtake us quickly and bring down ruin on us, and strike the city with the edge of the sword. And the king's servant said to the king, behold, your servants are ready to do whatever my lord the king decides. So the king went out, and all his household after him, and the king left 10 concubines to keep the house. And the king went out, and all the people after him, and they halted at the last house. Now, he's leaving 10 concubines there. Are those his concubines? Does he have more? You have to imagine, if he's only leaving 10, he had more.
Have you read how many children that man has?
That's 90 something.
A lot of kids.
I remember something like that. Yeah. Okay, so he let Absalom live, kissed him. Everything's good. So Absalom gathers a bunch of men and says, come with me, let's go, and we'll be the king of Hebron. And whenever you hear the trumpets, shout that out, and then we'll take over. That doesn't sound very good to me. Does you?
After he didn't kill him for murdering his brother even. Let him go, there's no punishment whatsoever other than he just couldn't come before him.
Right, for 2 years.
Now look what he pays, how he pays him back.
Yeah, after 4 years, after the 2 years, so 6 years later, he takes off. He's going to make himself king of Hebron. Woo. And all his servants passed by him, and all the Cheeriolites, and all the Pelethites, that's a hard one, and all 600 of the Gittites who had followed him from Gath passed on before the king. And then the king said to the Attiah the Gittite, why do you also go with us? Go back and stay with the king, for you are a foreigner and also an exile from your home. You came only yesterday, and shall I today make you wander about with us? Since I go, I know not where. Go back and take your brothers with you, and may the Lord show steadfast love and faithfulness to you. But Attai answered the king, as the Lord lives, and as my lord the king lives, wherever my lord the king shall be, whether for death or for life, there also will be your servant. And David said to Attai, go then, pass on. So Attai the Gittite passed on with all his men and all the little ones who were with him. And all the land wept aloud as all the people passed by. And the king crossed the brook at Kidron, and all the people passed on toward the wilderness. And Abiathar came up, and behold, Zadok came also with the Levites, bearing the ark of the covenant of God. And they set down the ark of God until the people had all passed out of the city. Then the king said to Zadok, carry the ark of God back into the city. If I find favor in the eyes of the Lord, he will bring me back and let me see both it and his dwelling place. But if he says, I have no pleasure in you, behold, here I am, let him do to me what seeks good to him. And the king also said to Zadok the priest, are you not a seer? Go back to the city in peace with your two sons, Ahimaaz and your son, and Jonathan the son of Abiathar. See, I will wait at the fords of the wilderness until word comes from you to inform me. So Zadok and Abiathar carried the ark of God back to Jerusalem, and they remained there. So now the Ark of the Covenant is back. Doesn't have a palace for it yet. Doesn't have the temple for it yet. It's back in the tent, right? So that becomes an interesting point. I asked you earlier if we come across that verse yet that said, when God was speaking to David, you live in a fine house, and I'm still basically living in tents. But David went up to the ascent of the Mount of Olives, weeping as he went, barefoot and with his head covered. And all the people who were with him covered their heads. And they went up, weeping as they went. And it was told to David, Ahithophel is among the conspirators with Absalom. And David said, oh, Lord, please turn the counsel of Ahithophel into foolishness. And while David was coming to the summit where God had worshipped, behold, Hushai the Archite came to meet him with his coat torn and dirt on his head. What did you determine that meant? Yep, he's in mourning. David said to Absalom, I will be your servant, O king. No, I missed something. David said to Absalom, I will be your servant. Is that right?
It should be 33. David said to him, go on with me.
Okay, that's what I'm missing because I'm getting the first part of it. David said to him, if you will go on with me, then you will be a burden to me. But if you return to the city and say to Absalom, I will be your servant, O king, as I have been your father's servant in time past, so now I will be your servant. Then you will defeat for me the counsel of Ahithophel. And are not Zadok and Abiathar the priest with you there? So whatever you hear from the king's house, tell it to Zadok and Abiathar the priest. Behold, their two sons are with them there, Ahimaaz, Zadok's son, and Jonathan, Abiathar's son. And by them you shall send to me everything you hear. So Hushai, David's friend, came to the city just as Absalom was entering Jerusalem. Can you see the soap opera unfolding, right? You have to step back and look at all the things that are happening. David knows that counsel could come up against him and fool the rest of the nation into believing that he's bad. Well, he's not bad. Well, he is bad, but he's not as bad as they're going to make him out to be. So he sends this one into the camp. Report everything you see. So be my narc or be my snitch, right? You know what happens to snitches. But here we go. Here's David saying, look, we got to figure out what they're doing so we can mount a defense against it, right? Y'all getting that from it? Okay. Well, that ends chapter 15. I think I'm going to stop there for tonight. 16 is not very long, but my voice is about done. Is that all right with you guys?
There's more double crossing in there.
Yeah. And they say the Bible is dull. Yeah. It is not. I want to download the Peter Colombo, Peter
Falk.
Falk. I want to download his speech in The Princess Bride. It's got fencing and jousting, and it has tricks and escapes and captures, and yeah, I love that. I want to do that for the Bible because it has all of that in it, right? We've already seen the giants. We've already seen the brave young men with a rock and a slingshot, right? We've already seen all this stuff. But it's a boring book. People can't understand. Well, stop reading the words and look at the story from a higher level. Watch how everything unfolds.
It's not good to read the Bible in the year program.
Yeah. Yeah, reading it and reading it as fast as you can does not teach you anything.
That's how I always read it. I've read through this Bible more times than I'm learning it now.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, then I'll tell you what we'll go ahead and do then. We'll turn off the camera and we'll go into our personal and private prayer request. We have a bunch to go through tonight. But I do want to remind you of this. This Sunday, we start a new series. 1 Corinthians. Right? I think that's what I said.
Yes.
So the Pauline letter, it's actually, they believe, the second time he's written to the church at Corinth. But we'll talk about the city and once again why it's such an important port town. I'll show you the port town itself now and what they would think it looked like back then, and why it's so important. And we'll have a good time in that. And then next Wednesday we'll get back into chapter 16. Very good. And I will work on getting the other 3 videos posted this weekend. I apologize that they didn't get done yet. I'm working on it though. Anything else before we turn off the camera? Oh yeah, don't forget Tuesday nights, if you got nothing going on, come on down to the Pentecostal Worship Center for Recovery Alive. Like I said, we had 70 people there last night. Man, it was a good time. That's why my voice is going out, because I spoke for almost 2 hours. So.
Announced Ladies Night Out. It's the last Thursday at 6 at TUBBS Pizza this month.
Ladies Night Out for Bible Biker Church is the last Thursday of the month. And this month they're going to Pop's Pizza on Gateway next to Mimi's Restaurant.
Yes.
Very good. All right. And we shall see you guys next time. Have a great day. Oh, and if you can't get a hold of me for the next 2 days, it's because it's going to be 80-something degrees and sunny and I won't be around.
Hey, Vic, can you write that down for me so I can put it on the calendar?
Okay.
Please. If you don't mind.
Sure.
So since today's only the 14th, that won't